So, me reading some of my dad's posts, because I know that I was told that I really shouldn't do this and that I should just, not look at his posts, but I don't know. Sometimes when I'm bored, I do because sometimes they're funny. So, I thought I had audio for this, but I guess I deleted the audio because I kind of, wanted to start over a little bit because I went on a rant. But anywho, while y'all stuck on sex like it's something new, the entire world is crumbling. Better wipe off, change those sheets, and wake the F up. I only recently was even able to say the word sex without, having flashbacky breakdowns. Which actually, that's why I feel like making the videos has helped with a lot of things, because, there's a lot of things that I really couldn't say or talk about before I started making, more so the evidence channels before this one, which this was a part of the evidence channels. And actually, no, I made this one before the evidence channels because this was my first part. Then I started making the other ones. But yeah, so there's that. Anywho, women don't want to hear 50-50 when it comes to the bills, but want to share the 50-50 with Lord knows who. Which, by the way, I'm not making this video to bash anybody. I mean, I get that, as I always say, people are traumatized, broken down, soul fractured, to having multiple programmed personalities, and even plenty of personalities that are completely controlled by demons. They get extremely possessed, and there's just a lot of stuff with that. People aren't who they say they are. And of course, I always talk about how I have MPDs myself, but some people are completely living in the false self from all their trauma-based mind control, and so they have just different stuff going on. So that's what I could say about that. Anywho, this is just trauma symptoms pretty much. The whole usual thing with guys who get essayed and have Jezebelic moms and are Jezebelic themselves, have generational Marine Kingdom and predatory spirits. And so they do the usual manipulation and the usual sexual addiction, getting with older, younger people, DL, turned out, usual mind games. In fact, part of the reason, aside from me mastering manipulation from all the cash for kids system abuse I went through, and me researching the spiritual and physical side to all that, part of the reason why I understand the games that a lot of these the chomo predators that I run into on a daily basis play, like how they spit game and they're always about to do this, they're about to get a house, they're about to get a car, I should move in with them because they just got their house and they're about to get this. If they're one of the dumped out homeless veterans, they're about to get money from the VA, so I should stay in a relationship, well, not stay, I should get in a relationship with them and stay with them because they're about to buy a boat and live on the ocean off grid, and I should live there with them because they're about to die anyway, and they need somebody younger to get with before they pass away, even though they can barely walk. All that stuff is because my dad played the same games. Really, all Jezebelic people do. Which, even I would have generational Jezebel spirit and stuff. It's really a war to not become an abuser and become a lot of ways. It's definitely not easy. I understand why people become different ways that they become. I don't get how some people don't, but most people do have some of these ways about themselves because you have to have these types of ways about yourself just to be able to survive in the world. So anywho, when I saw all it takes is 3 good mornings back to back and 9 months later you got a baby on the way, I knew social media was powerful. And as I mentioned before, these types of people are clairvoyant and clairaudient in all its different terms. They can tell things about you from your social media posts just like you can with them maybe. And typically, anointed and prophetic people become quote-unquote narcissists or Jezebelic or high-ranking Jezebels themselves. Most high-ranking Jezebels or quote-unquote narcissists are anointed and prophetic people. People always like to go on these rants about how the Jezebels after the chosen one, they are broken chosen ones, quote-unquote themselves, which I don't even really like the chosen one term because I feel like a lot of things are just all bark, no bite. Everybody's talking about stuff, but nobody wants to actually get together and do anything about the issues in the world because they know it's not legal. They know the risks and the threats that they would get against their life, and so they don't want to really get involved. So people just do talking, like the fake social justice warrior Geronimo files. Anywho, so yeah, people my dad, they can like tell stuff about a woman, and really people say that like men like to target broken women, but it's traumatized broken men that target or get with, I could say, other traumatized they get with traumatized women. I'm screwing this up. But messed up people get together. People want to make somebody the victim, but it's a lot of idolatry and stuff. And I mean, people do lie and manipulate, but it's like two people are getting together for trauma bonds, a place to stay, and emotional support. And they're both traumatized, and they both have the same issues. Like, I only attract other people with BPD type issues. So, I mean, it makes sense. But people want to paint one person as a victim more than the other, which, I mean, sometimes somebody is, but it's like, especially in domestic violence, typically two people get together to abuse their kids together, to have kids to abuse together. The kids are the real victims. Then there's also the feminine thug persona complex, which I talk about all the time. And overall, just the fact that men who have been SA'd, they feel like, due to the social conditioning and the MKultra and the programming from the music and media, that sleeping around is being a man. And then, of course, as I always talk about, every bad thing in the world revolves around flipped around religious doctrine. So, men who are ran through and have been with 3,000 people feel like they should get with women who are virgins, which is also what a lot of the trauma stuff goes back to. People feel like they deserve to get with somebody who is a virgin, or at least who's younger and isn't quote-unquote ran through, which I talk about all the time in my paraphilia playlist and my Dronophile playlist. And I talk about the whole thing with 40-plus-year-old men and how they only want people under 28 or people under 30 because they want somebody who's quote-unquote teachable, pretty much easy to manipulate, and may be a virgin. But it's like, why should you, somebody who's not a virgin, get with somebody who is a virgin? And that's these flipped around religious doctrines. Now, when the chick said she was buying a private island, I didn't knock that. But I mentioned she may need to save $50 to get her phone back on. It's been off a month. And this also goes back to the parent worship thing, which is also from a flipped around religious doctrine, which also goes hand in hand with Sixth Commandment culture, as I call it. People want me to stop being quote-unquote grown in bed and go back home to my quote-unquote parents, which is assuming they have a place for me to go. But it's like, why should I be quote-unquote raised by people who not only aren't safe, obviously, but also don't have the ability to raise me because they're in their own little false self and taken over by the dark side themselves? Why should I go submit myself to be quote-unquote raised by people who don't even know half the things I know that I'm smarter than? Why would I go backwards? Why would I hustle backwards, which isn't even a hustle? People want me to go submit myself to people that I know more than and have realized more than, which I'm not trying to like act like I'm all that, obviously, but I'm just saying it's like a lot of people are smarter than their parents because their parents are taken over by dark forces, or they're not human at all anyways, and that it's a lot of, I don't know, what do they call it, Decepticons? But then people always say this thing that like young people or kids think they know everything, which I've never met anybody that thinks they know everything, and it's like, I mean, it's just a stupid saying that's really just ageism, but it's like, honestly, to a certain extent you are smarter, but as you go through school and different things in life, you're brainwashed and broken down. You lose your superpowers, you lose your intelligence, you lose your connection with the Most High as you get older, because babies are in tune, or babies and toddlers are in tune to like the spiritual world even more. School takes all that stuff from you. Your family system takes all that stuff from you. And eventually you're just as brainwashed and ignorant as people turn out to be, because that's the end goal. So you're actually smarter when you're younger, a lot of the time. Anyways, these days chicks be posting, I just want peace and positive energy. And how you gonna get that sleeping with somebody's husband? Would I need $1 million for to pull a chick that net worth is $36 on her EBT card? And by the way, this is all programming. This is why I often talk about the program and the people that are 40 plus or under. But they're always saying that the younger generation this and the younger generation that. Everything is systematic. Every generation normalizes something new that's demonic. Every generation normalizes something new that's trauma-based mind control. From the whooping thing to everything else that goes along with that. Which that is BDSM and SA. And this is why people will notice that their 10-year-olds are wearing dog collars and they're finding handcuffs under their pillow and stuff. This is what you raise your kids to be. Somebody who likes getting beat on. Anywho, in 2025, you may hear a woman say she don't need a man, but trust me, you will never hear a man that's not gay say he don't need a woman. And so this goes back to the whole essay, a feminine thug persona thing, the SRA traf, the false sense of what a man is, which of course I'm not trying to I don't know how to put it, so I'm not going to try to say what I was about to try to say. But as I always say, there are really no real men or women. I got sidetracked by that bird noise. There's no such thing as a kid or an adult or a child or an adult or a childhood. People are just trying to survive, and people are doing what they were told they have to do to survive at different ages, and people are being what they were told they have to be. The rap agenda, well, I wouldn't even say the rap agenda, the music industry agenda, which was pushed completely by Babylon/America, that was all trauma-based mind control. Now I know that people try to do the whole black people music, white people music thing, but one, they were all made by Judah Tribe Bantus, the rock music, country, all that, rap. But overall, all of it has the same programming. Just some of it is more overt. Like I would say rock music and rap music had pretty much the same very overt programming, regardless of what some people try to make it seem like. And then, so the rappers, they were under the same type of trauma-based mind control, and this was pushed in front of turned out dudes for them to look up to these rappers and say, well, I don't know who I am, so I'm just going to be Mobb Deep. I don't know who I am, so I'm just going to be Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne doesn't know who he is, and he was sold out by his mom and family to be essayed and taken through Virgo vasal rituals by Birdman and stuff. So he still doesn't know who he is, but he was made to act like who he was told he had to act like, which was the feminine thug persona, as I call it, or the down low and even down low chomo feminine thug persona programming. And so anywho, the point that I'm getting at with this, as I say all the time, which this is a known fact, quote unquote narcissistic men or Jezebelic men, they're often DL and have a lot of paraphilias, which is actually generational. So I have generational hypersexuality and paraphilias and stuff, which I'd have to continue to work to get over. And that's pretty much how it goes, because when you have generational Marine Kingdom spirits, you're going to have these types of issues generationally. So if your parents are, well, really with the autism label, that's being anointed or prophetic, which if you're anointed or prophetic, your parents and some of your relatives probably are as well. So, if you can get the quote-unquote autism label, then your parents and family have it too. If you're turned out, or in the now called alphabet community, your parents and family are too. In fact, you may even have different paraphilias, but the Marine Kingdom spirits and predatory spirits and lust and perversion spirits and etc. can manifest in you different ways. So your dad may be on the down low, your mom may be bi, you may be into pederasty or an amphibophile or something like that, or you may like animals, whatever in the world. Or you may be asexual from a sexual trauma and then eventually you just don't like any of that stuff at all anymore. I've even seen a dude say that he likes dudes, and it's not true that all people who are pretty much turned out have been SA, which I always say that's really not true. You definitely can be born in that way, because you can be born with the spirits because it's generational anyways. Just like how the Marine Kingdom spirits can set you up to get SA'd. So you may get SA'd not even when you're young. You may get SA'd when you're 20 and then you're turned out. And for the first time ever, you start liking the same gender. But you don't necessarily have to I don't know how I was going to put it, because I'm getting too sidetracked. But anywho, he was he likes dudes, and he was the only person in his family who didn't get SA'd, and all his relatives who were SA'd, they're straight, but he's not, and he didn't get SA'd. And it's the fact that multiple members of his family have been SA'd just shows that there's some Marine Kingdom spirits and all types of stuff going on, like some the Line of David type stuff. So, anywho, point is, this is a really common statement that Jezebelic dudes make, the whole last straight man on the planet thing, because it also goes into how, like, they're searching for what they have been told a man is and what their sense of what a man is. And it's really unfortunate because, of course, one of the agendas was to destroy the men, and then everything goes downhill from there. But anywho, a lot of people don't understand the stress and obligations I hold by being the last straight man on the planet. Which my mom's boyfriend also makes these same type of posts. And it's like, it's really interesting the patterns of like different spiritual, mental type things, because it's like, it's all like people doing and saying the same exact things. But anywho, whole being the last straight man on the planet, that's not GAY, but it is what it is. I always knew I was going to be different. And so, another thing with this, crap, what was I going to say? Because that last part threw me off. LOL, if anybody even watches this video, they're probably going to be like, well, now we know where you get it from. And if you're here from the abuse evidence videos, you probably already know that. But what was I going to say, though? Because there was something really important that I was going to say with that. Oh, yeah, and lust is never satisfied anyway. So anybody that's, like, hypersexual, they're turned out and have paraphilias anyways. So if they have 300 boyfriends and 300 girlfriends and all that, they already like the same gender and whatever else they can like, or they eventually will, because they're just opening themselves up to more perversion, spirits, and recommendations. And the spirits are going to eventually probably recommend for them to get with a tree or something. No matter how much... I'm trying to get through this. Okay, no matter how much I cheated on you or you cheated on me, you would always say you love me, and I would say I love you too. I know God took you for a reason. Which she had cancer, which a lot of people get that from Jezebelic abuse, as you can see with the whole Daniel Bergoli / Catch Me Outside girl situation, which she's an industry plant. She's the one that was always known for quote-unquote acting and talking black, which really she just acts like somebody under a certain form of trauma-based mind control who's been essayed, whose dad left. And I don't mean that in like a rude way. If that does sound rude, I'm just like saying it how it is. The stereotypical acting black, or more so acting like a Jezebelic quote-unquote black girl or woman, it's all a trauma symptom. She just acts like somebody under a certain form of trauma-based mind control. She's also a Serpent Seed Euro J3W as well. But anywho, what was I saying with that? Oh yeah, so Jezebelic abuse gives you cancer a lot of the time, especially breast cancer, but cancer in general. And this girlfriend my dad had, she had a Jezebelic mom. I don't know what happened with her dad, but she had a brain tumor and brain cancer or something like that. And eventually he just found her not alive. And a lot of people are never able to get out the cycle of idolatry, the fornication, the looking for love in all the wrong places, and then eventually they just pass away. And it's really a sad, scary thing, because then you like think about the eternal damnation, and all of it's really depressing. It's like you really can't escape. You can't escape on earth, you can't escape when you die. It's all really scary, to be honest. But anywho, so... And also, by the way, my dad didn't believe in God. In fact, my relatives didn't at all, really. My dad and my mom's boyfriend believe that they are God, actually, which is also a really common thing that happens to people for a lot of reasons, especially because anointed people often will identify with like things in scripture and like the persecution and getting treated like crap and targeted their whole life and traumatized. So they feel like, well, for one, there's a demonic side, but also they eventually feel like, well, if all this is happening to me, then I must be God. If all this happened to me and I'm still alive, then I must be God. My dad has died multiple times. He's been shot multiple times. He was trafficked by racist men who essayed their own sons, who are lawyers and judges and police officers. He died a lot of times from heart problems as well, and came back to life. He most recently died, what year was that? I can't remember. Was that 2022? When he was shot the third time. So anywho, there's that as well. But also there's the whole triage and just melanated people culture that goes along with it, to where like even if somebody really doesn't believe in God, they still know that God is real anyways, especially when it comes to melanated people or quote-unquote black people. So they're going to do the whole God stuff anyways. But you was the only person that could deal with my stupid stuff. Miss you for real. 3 days before you died, when my mom came, I kissed you 3 times. And I knew it was going to be the last. Didn't get to tell you before you left. You was the only real friend I had. Then there's also that. And I remember when my dad was making these posts about how he lost everything he had in a week or 2 or something like that. And I'm not going to lie, it's a sad situation though. And that's another thing as well. I remember I knew that my dad was going to get shot again and that he was going to die again a few years before it happened. And a lot of us even get put in GATE, which is gifted and talented, which is a part of SRA and Ramco, and the Cash for Kids system and human cash cow systems. And GATE tests you on whether you're psychic or not. They know that you're clairvoyant. The government has they have lists of quote unquote autistic kids that can read minds. And as you can see from like the Bible and stuff, Jesus was clairvoyant and clairaudient. And of course he was also God's son as well, but that's something that anointed and prophetic people or quote-unquote neurodivergent people have in general, which is why you're going to be targeted. But anywho, and this is also why, of course, as well as the fact that that people get more and more possessed due to trauma, this is also why people start to believe after a while that their God is, that they're Jesus Christ. Like, what's that dude's name? Charles Manson. I think that's his name. Now, of course, he's fake. He was created by the U.S. government through MKultra anyways. Him, Jeffrey Dahmer, all those people are fake anyways. They're not even like, the situation is completely staged and created. Not that people didn't get hurt. False flag does not mean that people didn't get hurt. I will say that, because I don't want people to get confused. And I talk about this pretty often. These people are made to be looked up to, so people could follow in their deranged, demonic ways. But anyhow. Still, the Charles Manson, whatever his name was, dude, he was programmed to eventually believe that he was God. In fact, when I was 7, aside from the fact that I've always been interested in like MKultra and stuff like that, as I mentioned before, one of the people that helped me realize that music gets people possessed and it actually like affects people's multiple personalities, and music is made to appeal to people under certain forms of trauma-based mind control, is watching my dad, and of course other people but my dad. People don't upgrade no more. They just find somebody slow enough to deal with their BS. They dummy down. Oh, and another thing. In the last video I made, or my most recent one, which I think was, it was the Why Turning Red is my favorite movie. Near the end of that, I mentioned how, like, there's the toxic positivity and people being told, pull yourself up from your bootstraps and stuff like that, and how, like, people try to make themselves feel like they have more control over situations that they really don't. This is also another side to the God complex. If I tell myself that I'm God, then I make myself feel like I have control over my life when I really don't. I make myself feel like I have more power than I really do. And then people can't hurt me. I can't be broke. I can't be hungry. I can't be cold. I can't be, struggling, because I'm God. And if I'm God, then anything I want will happen and come to me. It's a coping mechanism. Y'all better open up your eyes. These kids are being raised by the drive-by hooping and selling generation. How can one teach one? I mean, shoot, that's been going on for forever and a day. Or wait, or maybe I'm confused. Because I'm, like, when I hear this, I'm thinking, like, FBI, that Freemason dude, what was his name? The real Rick Ross, not the police officer that turned into a rapper, which they're both Freemasons. The real Rick Ross, I'm thinking about, like, snow babies. I'll say snow babies. But I mean, of course, this stuff is still happening. And something else I forgot to mention, going back to the Nova Tania situation, it also makes me think back to a video that, of course, the Boule Freemason fake leader dude, Rizza Islam, had made, or an interview he was in some years ago. This is like before I even knew I was going to escape my abuse situation. There's a couple videos that actually can still be found of RZA Islam talking about trafficking in the quote-unquote black community. Not the higher level, but the lower level stuff. With like the gangs, but this does easily bleed into organ trafficking though. You can get into organ trafficking through a lower level pros-traf. But anywho, he was talking about how nobody wants to quote-unquote snitch on these people and these gangs that are trafficking the kids. And that completely like parallels or goes hand in hand with the LA thing, the RICO indictment. It even makes me think about the Be For Better song where she was singing about the essay and the issues in the community, and she was like, cause you know dope boys not pedophiles as long as they're getting a bag, which I don't even think I can say that word, but yeah, all that stuff goes hand in hand as well. Now this is interesting. This also goes back to the issue of whooping culture. Not only is it essay and BDSM, but it teaches you or it makes you feel like you like pain. To be able to survive the pain, you have to subconsciously convince yourself that you like the pain, and that causes all types of issues as well. And so this goes into why this boy would want his finger sawed off, which, like, I mean, was he crying? I'm really confused. Did he not feel it? And also why the response to this was a whooping, because it's like there was some deep stuff going on here. But anywho, we was like 10 years old. My cousin Lamont said he found a power saw outside. Said he wanted 2 fingers removed. We thought it would be dangerous for him to try it by himself. So anyway, after the procedure, he started crying and said he wanted them back on. And that was the part we didn't plan, LOL. We knew we was getting a whooping, then missed that dude, aka Tyson. And in the end, the scary thing is, it's hard to not become a quote-unquote narc. Most people go to the grave never knowing what real love is. A lot of people really don't feel emotions. There's no connection. It's a lot of stuff with that. And it's like, it's all face value. There's people all around you, but you have nobody. Yeah, so anyway, remember when you was growing up and you had that one cousin that would come over and make sure everybody got a whooping for something he did? That's where loyalty started. Live every day like your last, because it was written, one day it will be. This also makes me think back to like some research I did in videos I would watch and stuff I would read back at 14 when I stopped lying to myself and started like really doing the research to try to figure out the spiritual and physical side of my abuse situation. And I remember that people like was it Dr. Romney? I don't know, but people that make videos similar to Dr. Romney, they would talk about how quote-unquote narcs, which I hate psych labels, would make Facebook posts and just social media posts like they're motivational speakers and stuff, but people will bash them for that. But these people are just trying to make themselves feel better and talk about their own experiences. And honestly, since a lot of them are anointed or prophetic, they do still have like their gifting of saying things that are true but still not doing it themselves, because it's hard to accomplish, and also talking about themselves but acting like they're talking about other people, stuff like that. Like they'll be like, yeah, and these dudes be out here cheating, but they're talking about themselves, stuff like that. And I mean, you really can't bash them for it, but it is like really interesting if you're the person that they've done some of these things to. But if you're always running towards abusive people, you have an issue with idolatry, desperation, limerence, and manipulation, even subconsciously and not on purpose yourself. So, but anywho, y'all worried about Chris Paul getting fired and he worth $180 million. Y'all better hope Walmart don't lay y'all off after the holidays. I don't know who Chris Paul is. In fact, no. Oh, I remember now. Chris Paul is North Carolina radio morning show. There we go. Because it sounded familiar. But for whatever reason, I was thinking Nick Cannon. But that's... I don't even think I meant to screenshot this, but do anyone know someone that fixed decks on the side? Why does that remind me of that viral video of the bus driver that was asking the kids if any of their moms are selling food stamps? You can have the right dream, but the wrong person laying beside you. So, Charleston White, another COINTELPRO Boule Freemason house N-word, who's, he works for the FBI. He's often wiretapped. He's like a Nardwar, but not a Serpent Sea J3W. what was I gonna say with that? Oh yeah, he's kind of like, I mean, he does say some true stuff, but he's still like another fake leader like Martin Luther King and these different Muslim and Christian Freemason leaders. I had to get off InShot because the audio recorder on there is always doing crazy stuff and pausing and skipping and all types of stuff. So, I think I was last saying Charleston White is like, I think maybe, I don't know where it cut off at. He's a bootleg Freemason house inward, a fake leader like Martin Luther King and those other people. He appeals to people with certain subconscious and even overt trauma from things that their family did to them, the community did to them, their hood did to them, trauma from their Jezebelic mom, their Jezebelic dad, their absent dad, their dad who wasn't allowed around, but they were probably told that he just didn't want to come around. Either way, Charleston White is like one of those types of people, like almost kind of like the Hodge twins, how like people with trauma and who subconsciously or overtly hate people, other melanated people or people of true Yasharel from like their family and community trauma. They'll like go into like the black conservative Hodge twins type thing. Now, of course, both wings are on the same bird. The white savior, fake social justice warriors, subconscious and covert racist liberals aren't hidden on Jack either. But there's still definitely different programming behind both sides. So he's kind of like that, but he's also kind of like the Andrew Tate, the Freemason, most likely Serpent Seed, Chomo, Traffer. He's kind of like Andrew Tate for quote-unquote black Americans, I would say. Especially like the men. So that's what he is, and that's all I want to say about that. I forgot something. He's also kind of like a Nardwuar. If I didn't mention this, because I know like some of it got kind of chopped out, because he definitely does give like Nardwuar, DJ Vlad vibes. They're both FBI, Serpent Seed. And Nardwuar is wiretapped, and he knows all this info about people because he's FBI. And this is one of my mom's boyfriend's posts, which, yeah, I definitely like need to stop looking at my relatives' post. But I don't know though, sometimes they're funny and they are relatable. Like realistically, it even makes you think back to the whole Malou situation. In the end, you have yourself. You can self-publish your Amazon KDP book, or you can make some videos talking about your life. Like even that I remember like in the earlier parts since my escape, my mom's boyfriend had made this post where he was like, F a french fry. No, I think it was F a potato and F a chicken nugget too. And it's like, I could just like read the post and tell what probably went down, because I like get the like games that they would play. And it was often other people letting me know about these posts, because they would let me know about like my smear campaign, which is actually the real reason I started like checking their social medias, because I was being smear campaigned all over the internet. And damn, so like I would check every now and then to like, well, not me. It was mostly other people that would check for me, because I didn't even really want to look. And they would bring stuff to my attention. And so anyways, I could tell that like most likely there wasn't a lot of food in the house, and maybe my younger sister or something cooked some food, or my mom cooked some food, or whoever cooked, and he got mad because it wasn't what he wanted to eat, and he wished like he could get something else. And so he posted F a potato and F a chicken nugget too. And I remember this one post that I mentioned before where he was like, people always say I have a smart A mouth, but I never met a dumb MFer with one. And he's not wrong. I mean, that's the same. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it like that, but I mean, I could get that. I could totally take that sentence. It makes a lot of sense. Also, that one post he made when he was like, when I'm finally effing happy, leave me the F alone when I'm finally effing happy. I think about that pretty often. And it's like, it's all really relatable. Well, not all of it, but some of it. And even like this post my brother made once, this was some years ago. Well, not that long ago, but it was a couple years ago. I don't remember what he was saying, but it was something about how like you can't trust or depend on anybody. And I guess one of his like friends he met when he was homeless at 14 and different stuff like that had left a comment. They were like, bro, are you okay? And it's like, in fact, no. I'm getting mixed up with the post. No, that's what somebody said to a post that one of my enabler sisters' husbands had made, and he was like, I burned paper in my fire pit to ease my stress, and they were like, bro, are you okay? Something like that. And it's like, realistically, you can really tell when a family system has no connection and everybody's traumatized and nobody can depend on each other by the posts that all of them make. Like, even my older enabler sister, before CPS snitched about my abuse evidence videos and all that went how that went, like, she had been making her own abuse evidence videos for years. Not evidence, but like, she had made her videos years ago talking about her abuse and everybody getting, well, not everybody getting kicked out. Because I remember even somebody told me, the way your sister talks about her abuse, you wouldn't even think she has siblings. And it's like, that's how enablers are, though. It's like, her abuse happened, but like, everybody else is lying about their abuse. They just want to make our mom look bad and stuff like that. But then you have your videos talking about how you got kicked out and how you had to date some chomo and all that type of stuff. And it's like, but yeah. And then people will say, like, the internet isn't therapy. But it's like, honestly, the people that go to therapy are, like, some of the most dangerous people, to be honest. Like, they're the people that have serious cognitive dissonance about their abuse. They become an enabler. They become a flying monkey. All types of stuff. Like, I've never met a safe person that went to therapy. Then they go through therapy abuse at that. And it's, like, a lot of stuff. And then, of course, they run right back to their abusers with their cognitive dissonance to become an enabler. It doesn't even make any sense. And then they go run to somebody else to tell them about your issues. And pay them at that to talk to you or to listen to you talk. And to gaslight you and probably beat on you and essay you. Definitely not.